So I'm Grace Mortlock and this is David Newstein, and we're Others from Sydney, Australia.
The project is called Offset House. The main claim of the project is basically to show, you can see it in the large model as well behind us, that within every suburban house there's a work of architecture just waiting to be revealed. So we took typical houses from Kellyville in Sydney that are very representative of the type of housing that most of the population lives in, and we showed how by stripping away the outside of the house you create a house that's responsive to its climate, that can be used for different types of living situations without the need for fences because they have their own enclosure of privacy. So we're really trying to demonstrate how you could recover this type of housing that's been denigrated by Australian architects as a work of architecture, and in doing so you could reach a much greater segment of the population that are normally affected by architecture. And then we're also showing the commonalities with America, because we're very kind of ironically proud of the fact that we have the largest houses and the most living space per person of anywhere in the world. So we have bigger houses than Americans. We're actually the top consumers of anywhere. So the nature of what's being expected of architects and the opportunities for working are changing. Technology, different social structures and different legal and bureaucratic frameworks have really changed how architects work. The biggest challenge is internal, I think. It's for architects to readjust their expectations of what their work will be and their expectations of how they will work, and be able to redefine what they do so that they can both operate effectively in society but also feel good about what they do.
And we feel that this project is sort of challenging the status quo of Australian architecture. It's challenging the pavilions and idyllic landscapes in the Glenn Murcutt School of Architecture and looking at suburban housing as architecture instead. That house has a bedroom, ensuite and wardrobe area that is as large as David and our one-bedroom apartment. So this house has been offset and it now has 3 dwellings, as you can see within it. And there's the veranda space that creates a space for outside living, which is very important in Australia. We want to put aside the ego of the architect, of the single male architect, and look at working together as an office.
But also that we're really interested in being involved in the background rather than the foreground. We think that if architects weren't so anxious about their own qualities, if they didn't need to satisfy their own egos so much, they'd actually be able to do much better work. So much architecture is about creating spectacle and claiming attention, and we think attention comes naturally through doing good work, and that if you can free yourself from the need to make a lot of noise, you actually have a lot more opportunity. That we're actually observing just in this room, which is full of beautiful work. We're so delighted to be in a space with architects we admire. Like Lateral Office, who are in the corner of the room over there. We have Junya Ishigami behind us. We think that architects are paying a lot more, this younger generation that have been collected here in the Biennial, are paying a lot more attention to how they communicate, that systems of aesthetics and of the way that material is organised has become far more rigorous lately.
It's less about sort of rendered images and more about a constructed image and a drawing. I think the emphasis has gone back to drawing, which we really love.
But I think we also have to remain conscious of the fact I think this is an amazing public event in a really public building. It's had an incredible publicity campaign as well to involve people of Chicago in their own biennial, but we're still in a rarefied architectural exhibit. We're architects talking to other architects. There are limitations in doing that. Our work exists and is demonstrated in the context of a biennial, so there's a whole other mission which comes from talking to the populace, basically.